So we wanted to bring tech skills to people in Pakistan, and that was the first motivation. With tech skills, you could work anywhere in the world remotely and earn in dollars and pounds, but stay in your local area with your family, and I thought that would be the kind of really positive change for that place, and so we set out to start a tech company. Allah rewards what we do, that's why we do it. The Ihsan Award embodies that and says, okay, we as Muslims do things because we know Allah's watching us, watches our every action. But all of that you do with the spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me, will reward every second that I spend in this path. My name is Zaghum Arshad, and our company is called Cloud Surge Solutions. So we wanted to bring tech skills to people in Pakistan, and that was the first motivation. I'd been visiting my father's hometown since I was a young child, and viewing that people were in the same situation, to this day. They hadn't been able to really better their lives, and I created manufacturing jobs in the past. And I thought, okay, that had done something, but it's not going to be a sea change. So we wanted to create tech jobs, and the way to do that was to then teach them tech skills, because with tech skills you could work anywhere in the world remotely and earn in dollars and pounds, but stay in your local area with your family, and I thought that would be the kind of really positive change for that place, and so we set out to start a tech company. So the very first sort of year was bringing on the right team. So we had to bring in management, we had to bring in senior IT consultants and developers from around Pakistan. We're based in a small town near Faisalabad, and so we had to bring in that talent from elsewhere. So we had to convince them to move. People from big cities don't want to move to some small place. So we had to do that. Then we had to accommodate them. We had to get accommodation and all the facilities and build the offices and the academy. And then we had to bring in English tutors, and we had to have that whole environment set up so that the first year it took us just to get that whole thing off the ground. Then we had to build the UK facing side of the business, where we then can offer those services to clients in the West. And so we had to build that up, and so we had to go to a lot of conferences and tech events, and we had to build up our profile and build confidence that we can supply very good quality services, even though they're going to be offshore from the Muslim world. So I think for me, language barrier was not so much of an issue. I was very fluent and I was able to communicate really well. But other things, I mean, there are socio-economic issues which affect the whole supply chain. So you've got people who maybe have gone through the rote learning system, and they don't think as independently as we're used to here, so you have to get used to that. It's little simple things like, somebody will nod along to you in a meeting. You assume that means they understand, but actually they're just being polite, and they actually have no clue what you just said. So you have to confirm, and if you do sometimes confirm, they'll be like, yes, I understand. You'll be like, okay, just repeat it back to me. And they'll be like, okay, no, I had no idea what just happened, right? So you have to get used to that and then educate them out of it and say, look, that's not how we communicate in the West. We're very upfront and honest. If we don't know something, we're just like, sorry, could you repeat that? Could you explain that a different way to me? So you have to get used to some of those challenges. And then locally, we assume that people have the lives we have. So if somebody goes to the bank, for us, that's an app, 2 minutes, back into a meeting. For them, that's the whole day. They've got to go out there, queue up for the bank, and sitting there with 50 other people in the same meeting, trying to get their issues resolved. They're knocked out, and so we can't relate to that. We think, what do you mean you've got a little banking issue and you need the whole day? How does that make any sense to our lives? So you have to get used to those, I think, cultural barriers, and then regulatory. You've got the government often will put obstacles in the way, or you'll have issues with other institutions, but you've just got to keep going and you've got to overcome them. So alhamdulillah, it's been a lovely side effect of what we built. We always wanted to provide opportunities to women in our town, but we didn't realize how well it would be received, because we're the only employer in that area for women with tech skills or IT graduates. And so what happens is that it's very aspirational for them to get into the academy and to join the company. And once they do join, because it's one of the only jobs available in the area, they really stick at it, they progress really well, and they do great work. And we've got great minds that were just cut off from the economy, and we're able to start accessing them, bringing them into the workforce. And so we hope that figure's going to grow, but the tech industry notoriously has very low participation from the female sector. But we think we can beat the trend there. We already have with 35%, but we want it to be much higher, inshallah. So our model is to take the tech skills to small towns. So there's 100 target small towns across Pakistan that we could access. So our very next site is going to be Abbottabad, and then one of my co-founder Ilyas Khan is from a town called Swabi, and that will be location 3. But at the same time, we started to get international interest, where people said, could we bring this to our country? So we had lots of conversations, people from everywhere, from like South Africa, Egypt, Uzbekistan. But then what's really close to our hearts at the moment is Palestine. And so we're talking to an organization there at the moment to set up an office and an academy and replicate the model. Once we've proven the concept now and it's working and it's successful, we can pick that up and put it anywhere in the Muslim world, and we're obviously really willing to do so because that's our whole ethos. I think being a very deen-centered approach, as a company for us, this is the kind of award that means something to us. You can have accolades for different parts of your business. You've achieved financial success, great, people will reward you for that. You've had high growth, people reward you for that. And ultimately, from our perspective, Allah rewards what we do, that's why we do it. The Ihsan Award embodies that and says, okay, we as Muslims do things because we know Allah's watching us, watches our every action. If we make efforts, we have to travel a lot, we have to go and meet a lot of people, we have to get out of our comfort zones. My background's not been in tech. I've had to get out and learn, and at my age, had to really reskill myself. But all of that you do with the spirit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me, will reward every second that I spend in this path. And the Ihsan Award reflects that. And I don't think there's any other award that would mean as much, because it's just rewarding your dunya success. We want to look at Muslims thinking about the connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with everything they do. And this project really does that. And so that's why, I hope inshallah that, this is a reflection, and there's more awards like this, so that companies start to think about more than just making money. So I have lots of other businesses in e-commerce and manufacturing. So I've spent a lifetime manufacturing products, and in Pakistan, in the UK, in Birmingham, and in e-commerce retail across Europe. So I have a site in the Netherlands and then the one in Birmingham. And so we've been doing this business for like nearly 20 years. Started from our house, back in the day. And so we have that part of the business. Business is very much then part of your kind of DNA. But there's a future kind of legacy aspect now to life. You get to middle age and you think, what am I going to spend the rest of my life doing? And what will I have to show for it? And if money is the only objective, that's a poor trade that you just did, right? You spent your lifetime doing it. So I wanted to have impact. And so if that impact is then in tech or AI now, robotics, I was meeting some brothers yesterday, we were talking about how we could get into that field. So you can go into the latest technology, and it just requires you to come out of your comfort zone. But then you find within the Muslim community that there's so many people willing to help along that journey. I've never reached out to another Muslim and heard, no, I don't want to help, I'm not interested, I don't want to give time. You can ask anything of anyone, and there's a spirit of a collegiate atmosphere of let's all do this together. It's never easy, there's not like a secret formula, I suppose, here. But from my experience, what I did learn along the way is that if you align on values, everything else falls into place. But often we don't spend time to really identify somebody's values. We look at whether they can do the work, we look at their experience, we look at their salary level, and we think we'll make a choice. But ultimately, if you bring the person with the right values in, you'll never have to manage them. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to check up on them, you don't have to ask them to report to you, because they share those values. And so they'll be on that mission, they'll dedicate day and night to that mission. If you can find those people, it takes time, it's not so easy, but Allah will send them to you if you're persistent. And you'll get those people into your business, they'll take it to all sorts of different levels. As I sit here speaking to you in London, I've got a business running, multiple businesses running in Birmingham, businesses running in the Netherlands, businesses running in Pakistan. I'm not involved in any of them. I'm not checking my phone or my email or my messages in any way, because I've got trusted people who run all of those things. I didn't create them. Allah gave them to me. And so I make the best of what Allah gives me and say, okay, let me empower this person who maybe wasn't born into a family that knew business. So they don't have the ability to maybe start something of their own yet, but you take them on a journey. And so everyone I work with in all of our companies and businesses, we're on a journey together. Inshallah, one day they'll be much bigger than me. I hope so, right? I hope that happens, and I get to see it. It will be a wonderful feeling to see that happen. But while we work together, our focus is on how we grow each other. And it's not just help my business make me money. It's you've got to be holistic about how they're growing. Where does their life go? You have to get into their shoes and think, what does life look like from their point of view? And if you're doing that as a company, people never leave. And so you'll have people who grow with you. When they eventually get to a point where they've outgrown you, then you need to be sincere and tell them and say, you've outgrown us, you should leave now. I've done that many times with people I've worked with over the years, and said, it's now time for you to move on. And they're like, well, I don't want to leave. And you're like, well, you need to now move on. We can't give you the growth you now deserve. And you can actually go out and do much better, bigger than us. That was the whole point here. It wasn't about us ever. The whole issue here was Allah gave us custodianship over some resources. We're trying to deploy those resources and efforts in this dunya. Allah will reward us for that. It's not about you and it's not about me. None of this is just, about any of us. I would say that you can build tech at scale by using resources from the Muslim world, from the developing world. There are people with great skills out there, and it's not, talent is not limited to geographical limits. It can be found anywhere. Opportunities just don't seem to materialize. Be an ambassador for your people back in your lands, back in your countries, back in the places you care about. Be their ambassador in the West. Find opportunities that they could help build, coach them, as a minimum teach them English. Anyone, not one of us can do that. And then we connect them to the Western world with remote working. They can have a great life right where they live. And as our forefathers had to come out to the Western world in search of a better life, today you can actually help them have that better life right where they are, with their families, in their natural place of birth. They can stay there and have a brilliant life, probably better than us. And we can facilitate that for them if we just put a little bit of effort in each of our fields. If you're in finance, help people set up a back office out there. If you're in IT, whatever skill that is, right, teach that skill to 5 people. But don't keep it to yourself thinking that there's having a scarcity mindset. You take out, do your little bit. And if you don't know how to do it, reach out to people like CloudSurge and say, well, you're doing this, how can I help? How could I get involved? We've set lots of people up in the UK with their own IT practices and said, what's the thing you need? They said, well, we need a team, and we're going to have to fundraise lots of money to be able to get a team. But I say to them that if we could give you that team now, then what do you need? And then they just need a little bit of support and a bit of confidence building to actually launch. So we've been able to help lots of people launch these IT consultancies, and they use teams from our CloudSurge, and they're able to solve business problems in each of their sectors. And it's a great ecosystem if we can grow it together.